Alright, my name is Justin, and this is AI for the Masses, my continuing devlog on the making of my indie game, The Story of Someone. This music might be kind of loud. Let's make sure that's not true. Okay. Bring it down a little bit more. So, I have been making some progress off stream. A little bit here. Some progress I'm somewhat proud of and getting excited here is I'm pretty happy with a procedurally generated armor and weapons. And I think I have a good system set up where I have points that can be randomly associated to stats on the weapons and armor that also affect the price of the weapons and armor in a procedurally generated way. And a few of the weapons, at least, have a form factor associated with it. So, for example, like a dagger will be fast, will be have a mandatory speed stat that will be added, and then also a crit chance. And so the extra points will then go randomly into other stats. I have primary and secondary stats, so like if you have a strength boost, that will increase your attack and it'll increase the amount of weight you can carry. So if a weapon has a strength increase on the primary stat, it actually costs more. But if you want to just have a stronger attack, it costs less. It only costs 1 point. I plan on doing a similar type of thing. Well, actually, I think for leveling, I haven't decided if I'm going to allow the... Oh, actually, yes. I think for the leveling, I'm only going to allow the player affect the primary stats. So like strength, constitution, dexterity, and they will have an equation that will then affect their secondary stats with 1 degree of separation. So weapons and armor can directly affect secondary stats, but the player can only choose primary stats for leveling, which will indirectly affect their secondary stats. Why don't I, because I did a lot of this off stream, I didn't think this was going to be like super entertaining, and I kind of needed to focus and keep track of what it is I was working on. So let me go into my new item generator sandbox, and let's go ahead and run the sandbox. Now, the sandbox is nothing exciting. It is just a way for me to see the items get generated, how the prices get set, and how the points get distributed in a random way. Hey, as anything, I thought I saw a viewer jump in. I was pretty sure it was going to be you. Is it? Okay, cool. No, thank you for the feedback. That's good that you tell me that, because I am looking at the volume levels and I'm not surprised that you're saying that it is a bit loud. So how about I just go ahead and turn it down? Sometimes I like to turn it up when I'm not talking about anything important, but let me know. How is that? Is that looks like the volume levels are about half music and like twice as much me, so hopefully it's a bit more in the background now. But if I needed to turn it, okay, cool. Yeah, so hey, thanks for joining. Sorry I couldn't come to yours. It's weekend it's our Saturday, and decided to spend it outdoors. So, but thought I'd come in for a quick stream and see, just kind of demonstrate what I've been working on here. So this messy little window of, let me see if I can bring it up. Oh yeah, here we go. Can I move it? Yeah, there we are. So this messy list of characters is just basically me like kind of dialing in procedurally generating weapons and armor. So what I have here is actually, I don't think I can highlight this, but there's basically 2 lines per category. So there's 10 weapons that are generated. So you can kind of see like proc weapon 0 and then proc weapon 9. And I have different tiers and I have different quality standards. And you're going to kind of have to just, press the I believe button on this one because it's a lot of information to take in. But what it is that I have set here is the ability for the program to procedurally generate weapons with stats that also affect the price and also are making some sort of scalable sense in how it affects the character's stats. So I can turn on and off primary and secondary stats. So I'm going to turn off generating secondary stats. And the difference between primary and secondary is that there is you can have strength, constitution, dexterity, and it'll affect things like how many hit points you have or how much attack you have or how much defense you have. So the strength is the primary and attack is the secondary. And there's equations that I can scale that will allow you to affect a primary stat, and it will affect multiple secondary stats as a result. But a primary stat on a weapon should cost more, in my opinion, because they have a greater effect, and also they should cost more not only with the points that are randomly assorted to the weapons and the armor, but also they should affect the price of the item itself. So I'm kind of just checking and making sure that there's no bugs, and I'm already seeing one. So proc weapon 11 seems to be being given 5 points, but I only see it going to attack and just that 1 point. So not sure why that is happening. I feel like I should probably, I see it a couple times here. So I'm going to put this in. Well, I haven't even shown Gemini my code lately. If I can work out these bugs, and they're pretty minor bugs, then my goal on this stream is to populate the shop with weapons and armor off of my generator. And then I should be able to buy items. Another thing that happens here is that, let me go ahead and get get Gemini my code so it can crunch through all the tokens that I'm going to be feeding it here. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn the temperature down to 0, give it the coding rules. And as anything, I actually made a new document that had some interesting ideas about how to get AI to minimize bloat in the code. And maybe you might find that interesting. So let me screenshot this and let Gemini start chewing on that. I'm going to tell it about the bug and see if it can expose what's going on. And then we can just discuss about what my plans are. Okay, so let's see, proc weapon 11 and 14. Proc weapon 11 and 14 are only being given 1 attack point, but the total points the program says are allotted should be 5. Can we check that the logic for allocating the total points to a weapon and the points displayed for allocation are accurate and consistent. All right. So I feel like this is one of these things that I could probably check on my own. I have been following along with the code well enough that I do know a bit where these lines are, but I'm going to have it. It's an excuse to get it to process all the files anyway, so it's a relatively simple command or simple prompt that just allows Gemini to see the code base for the first time in this fresh chat. So might as well take advantage of the opportunity. Where did I put my notes about the bloat? I thought it was interesting. I had a little conversation. Yeah, here it is. I had a little conversation with ChatGPT about, I like watched a video where someone, or no, actually it might have been a Reddit post or something where someone was talking about bloating the code and all these kinds of things. And, you know, me not being an actual software developer, didn't have a lot to contribute or to that, and I was curious, so I had a conversation with ChatGPT about it. It's like, how could I minimize bloat? And this is what it said. So I know that's hard to read, and as anything, since you are actually in my audience, if this is curious to you at all, you don't have to engage with this if you're busy working on something. But I'm going to go ahead and send it to you in Discord. And don't feel pressured. If you genuinely just don't want to engage with this, I'm not going to be offended. But since you're in the chat and... Hey, how do I do this? I don't know how to direct message you. Oh, here we go. Since you're in the chat, I'll just send it to you. And I'm wondering like what things I might want to add to my coding rules. Yeah, cool. Yep, yeah, I sent it through Discord. So maybe some of that, maybe at least a couple lines in there might be helpful for giving to an AI for helping out. Okay, what do we got here? What is going on? Okay, of course, there's a discrepancy between the points allocated and the points displayed for some items. The lightness utility stat is being correctly purchased with the available points, but is being removed from the final mod list before display, making it seem like points have vanished. Well, why are you doing that? I'll adjust the item generator to keep the lightness mod. Oh, the lightness mod. Right. Okay, specifically that one. Yeah, I was kind of asking it to ignore that for a bit. So it shouldn't purchase lightness, which is the weapon is like made of a less dense material, so it has less weight. Because I do want an encumbrance feature in the game, so you can't just carry an infinite number of things. Ensuring the displayed information is accurate and consistent. Okay, so what do you say? I'll adjust the item generated to keep the lightness mod in the final list. Yeah, okay, fine. I didn't really want lightness in here, but okay, so it is procedural item generator. Yeah, I've been playing with this file a lot lately, but I've been really like loving the progress that is being made with this particular feature, because this one was stressing me out a little bit behind the scenes as to how I was going to scale my weapons and procedurally generate my weapons and armor and create prices and stuff. And so between me and Gemini over the last 24 hours, I've been really happy with. It's not set in stone, but I think I've set it up in a way where I can play test and have other people play test, and it will be easy for me to make adjustments as needed. Okay. He says super cool prompt doc. All right. I mean, I can't take credit for it. I'm talking with ChatGPT about some stuff, but what is it? Oh, I don't understand some of the specifics, but the general content is good. That's interesting. Maybe if I pull up the full ChatGPT chat. Let's see here. Okay. Maybe if I give the full response. Oh yeah, you can't see this. Hold on, let me change the view. So, okay, so yeah, it was just like 4 strategies, I think, to keep AI generated code lean, and then I just grabbed this list. So this list on my screen right now, this part that I'm highlighting, that's what I just sent to you in the Discord. So some of the context leading up to that was, so I said, I'm trying to understand the basic concept from most software developers' perspective, the idea of bloated code, the examples of what bloated code actually are. And I'm trying to understand how the concept of bloated code would still be applicable in the era of AI coding and vibe coding. Because oh, you got some stuff in here. I don't understand some of this. Okay, this is good. Remove unused params, inline trivial wrappers, delete to-do blocks. Oh, you like, are you saying you like those? If that's what you mean, that okay, that's cool. Yeah, so I've been having, ever since I've discovered how powerful vibe coding is, like I said before in previous streams, I know how to code and I teach introduction to code, but I am not a developer. I'm not a computer science major. I'm an electrical engineer that needs to code for the purposes of being able to create my own simulations and tools and ways to analyze data and things. So, worrying about things like bloated code and doing unit testing and these kinds of things are not really something that I'm formally trained in. So that's from your doc. I'm just saying that looks good. Yeah, that's what I thought. And it's insightful to the way that Gemini generates. Okay. Yeah. So some of the things that I'm sure developers and you as well as anything that I feel like this is probably like obvious par for the course kind of things, like redundant logic, over engineering, dead or unreachable code, excessive dependencies, chatty data models, inefficient algorithms. So I was like going through its explanations of these different concepts of like what is bloated code, and a part of me is wondering, first, how much is AI giving bloated code, especially if you try to ask it not to. And I feel like maybe if there's a good document that has some of these commands in here in the prompt to use best practices to avoid bloated code, I wonder if you can get rid of like 95% of any bloat, or maybe 99% of any bloat automatically in the AI's generated output. And the other thing is, I've had some conversations with some computer science majors, like very, very experienced computer science majors, still thinking like, well, you want your code to be in a certain style, and you don't want the bloat. And I'm like, well, how much does the bloat matter when you're not working with other humans and you're just working with the AI? And I've gotten a lot of resistance with that idea at all. And so I'm just like thinking of it from kind of a naive but as objective of a perspective as I can, that if the code itself is not needed to be super efficient, like let's say that it's not like some super impressive piece of code, and if there's some extra processes that are going on and security is not a huge issue, how much do you care if it takes an extra 10 milliseconds to do something? And so, like, is it necessary, say, for game development, for me to care about bloat? And I think there might be an argument, possibly, that extra bloat might actually, in some situations, might actually help the AI. Like, having these to-do prototypes and things embedded in your code might help remind the AI itself, because it reads everything, that there's a thing there's a feature that you want, but you're not working on it right now, but maybe the AI can plan around that. So I've actually asked the AI multiple times to put like stub functions and various things in the code, because it's like, I don't want to tackle this right now, but I want you as the AI to know that we're going to need to integrate this idea later. And I don't want it to become as a surprise or us to paint ourselves into a corner because you're not prepared to have to take on that, take in that new task. I find that bloat matters a lot, mainly with predictability. If I describe something, I have something in mind. If it deviates from that, then the code is unexpected and surprising, not ideal. Okay, I find that bloat matters a lot, mainly with predictability. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. No, I think I understand what you're saying, and I'm wondering if we have to, in order to have this conversation without like misunderstandings, is there a better word than just bloat? Do we need to be more specific? Because I can imagine in my head things that I would absolutely agree with the last comment that you just put. And I feel like at the same time, what I just said also is relevant and could be labeled as bloat. And maybe that's not what it is, though. Maybe it is actually useful code when I'm giving the AI a bit of a heads up and asking it to put some things in. Some people might call that bloat, but I see the possibility of it actually helping the process, since the AI is not a human and can read all the code and keep general track of everything that's going on in its memory way better than a human can. So there seems to be a new context that I'm imagining where certain types of bloat could be helpful. The to-do stuff can become insidious when you change your plan and forget about your original plan, but the to-dos are still there to confuse the AI. I agree with that. I could totally see what you're talking about there. Yeah. In fact, I've had some code even in this item generating part of the program here that it was like putting random adjectives like on the ends of the titles of my weapons, like sword of the bear and armor of the moon and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, get that out of here. So it was just part of some of the brainstorming that it did, and it had no utility yet. I don't even know if I want it in there later. I do want some sort of like labeling. Like, let's say if there's a freeze element or an ice element on a weapon, I would like it to be like sword of winter or something like that, just to kind of clue the player. But I didn't need it yet because I want to keep things as simple as possible. Yeah, I don't find that the AI puts a lot of to-dos in my code. That at least Gemini's not doing it, or the instructions that I've been giving Gemini seem to be reasonably kind of keeping it from going too crazy. So if I scroll back on your comments as anything, get out of here. You were saying you liked remove unused params, inline trivial wrappers, delete to-do blocks. Okay. So what if I was to add those to my coding collaboration rules? So do I have the other one? Yeah, here we go. Let's see. And are you seeing what I'm doing here? I mean, I'm sure the text is really small. Hold on. All right. That probably is a little bit more helpful. That there. So let me get rid of the highlight. Let's see. So what are you talking about? Oh, it's over here. Okay, let me do this and make this shorter. Okay, trying to have them kind of both on the screen at the same time. So you said you liked, it was basically the stuff at the top here, the remove unused params, and like, so should I take that whole thing, refactor immediately after each generated chunk compiles? Oh, so just add those commands into here. Yeah, sure. Why not? I wonder how I should write it. Maybe I should kind of preface it like minimize bloat and then colon and then this list of things. I'm a little scared to just have it always deleting to-do blocks, but it is probably better to have that than to have the to-dos for the exact reason that you just said in the chat. So I'm going to go with that. Was there anything else? Yeah, a lot of this other stuff is like probably like really specific types of things. Ask for minimum viable implementation or idiomatic but concise. Man, those are some words. I could not. If someone was to ask me what idiomatic but concise truly meant, I would struggle. To simplify while preserving all functionality. Are you talking about the what I was just saying here? Because I know there's a delay, so I don't know which part of the conversation you might be specifically referring to. The minimize viable implementation to simplify while preserving all the idiomatic but concise. Yeah, it feels like that's probably what you mean. Oh, from the first paragraph. Oh, instead of having the three things. I'm curious as to why you think not having the list. Okay. Well, yep, I'm definitely open to your comments here. So, yeah, if you find this interesting, keep them coming. In the meantime, let's see what it is. I didn't find where I needed to add this code. No, just throw in while preserving. Oh, just add that in there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make a change here, and you can tell me if I'm interpreting what you mean. So I'm just gonna add this in while preserving all functionality. So remove unused params, inline trivial wrappers, and delete to-do blocks while preserving all functionality is what I wrote. That's how I interpreted your suggestion. Sounds like it makes good sense. All right. Oh, I ended up watching a YouTube video today that was basically, was it talking about Grok 4? I think it was talking about Grok 4. And, I'm still not sure how much Grok 4 is impressive to me for my personal use case. I know that there's like a code focused version of Grok 4 that they haven't released yet. So I think that's basically what I'm probably waiting for. And definitely the benchmarks were pretty impressive. I tend to be one of those people that I take the benchmarks with a grain of salt, but I feel like they are a good like book cover kind of indicator of where the AI might stand amongst the others. Judging a book by its cover is kind of the metaphor that I'm going with. Pretty much, haha, I think I'll suggest other edits in Discord. It's too tricky in the stream. Yeah, sure. That's fine. Thanks. I appreciate the help. Regardless of these difficulties, of course. So yeah, in this video, it was about Grok 4, and someone put in the comments that they can't wait until they can just put their entire code base into an AI and just have it update and edit issues. And so, as most comments in videos and even like posts in Reddit tend to be, in my opinion, it was very vague. So I, as politely as I could get it across, tried to ask them, I was like, well, what do you consider to be big? And like the code for this game is roughly, if I round up, I have to round down again, but I'm about 17,000 lines in. But that is including all the white space and the brackets and things. So I don't know, maybe like 15,000 lines in. And there's a handful of files that aren't even included in my full code base. Some JSON files that I know are not necessary right now that are pretty long, but we'll say about 15,000 lines. And that 15,000 lines uses up about 200,000 tokens, which we can kind of see. Here, my view is, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if the resolution is good enough for you there, but it's about 214,000 tokens to do this one prompt that I just did. So the person did respond and said, well, I have a game that I released that is like 200,000 lines. And I was like, okay, yeah. So if I have about 15,000 lines, and that's 200,000 tokens, then 150,000 to 200,000 lines is definitely going to exceed Google's context window. And then Gemini and Claude 4 Opus have the largest context windows of 1 million tokens. So he's going to need, she is going to need like 2,000 or 2 million, maybe even 3 million tokens to be able to put their entire code base into a large language model. But as we've been seeing in my workflow, I can pick and choose which subdirectories I actually consolidate into a file and give to the AI. So I suggested that to him, and the person openly admitted that it's like, yeah, I didn't do a really good job of like compartmentalizing my code in a way where I could get away with doing that too much. I'm like, oh, okay. So what I'm saying is like if someone is not like incredibly organized with their coding and is just trying to get things done and didn't have the context of this whole new AI, revolutionary AI vibe coding process, then they might struggle a bit to be able at this stage, if they're like more than 50% done, 70% done with their project, maybe their code is not set up to using the techniques that I'm using. But as anything, your workflow is a bit different. I'm wondering if you would have a solution for someone like that has already a legacy code base is already very huge. But like, how could they utilize AI if their code base as a whole would be bigger than the context window? I know I have my technique, and wondering how many more techniques out there exist due to the constraints that we're bound by with the technology as it is right now. I think in the next year or two, these constraints are going to be like very, very far, much further out than they are right now. So I'm not too concerned. I mean, even if my code base ends up getting to 1 million tokens, I have plans on how I can get around that, and I think the amount of time it'll take me to get there, there'll already be like some sort of an update, like Gemini will be 2 million token context window or something along those lines. All right, I gotta find. Let me actually follow through here, and gotta find this method that I need to paste in. So let's go with generate weapon, armor, equipment. There you are. And oh, this is a big one. Okay. All right. Okay, that should be it. Let's see if it behaves a little better now. Okay, so what we have here is we have a tier 1. So if you look at the top left corner, a tier 1 list of 10 weapons at standard quality, and I can have primary and secondary stats loaded onto these weapons. So for weapon 0, attack +1, lightness +1, accuracy +1, and speed +1. So lightness costs 2 points. So this adds up to 5. So I'm just kind of glossing over. Dexterity is a 3-point primary stat, and we got 1 for speed, 1 for crit chance. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Looking like everything's adding up to 5. So you got a comment there as anything. I think of context like car headlights. You only need to see the road ahead. No one keeps the whole code base in mind. But we need to know which way to shine the lights and how wide or narrow the beam. Yeah. I feel like that's a proper metaphor, and that's how I've been like approaching my code. And the only thing I worry about is when I gotta do like major testing and something big happens. And I need like the whole code base for some like really like critical bug or something. But I really doubt that it's really going to come to that. The other way around this, like I think the biggest fear and at the same time the biggest criticism, it depends on who is talking, is that you won't understand your code. And my opinion is the solution is that is one, try to pay attention as much as you can, but I'm already breaking that rule. And the other one is you can ask the AI to explain your code to you. So if it really comes down to you having to understand your code, you can ask the AI to give you tutorials of sections of your code to try and figure out what's going on. And I do feel like there's a lot of people out there that are really doing the I have a bug, fix it kind of prompting. That's just like what I kind of feel is when people are complaining is what they're basically typing. Instead of getting into the weeds a bit, even though you're vibe coding and being like, here are my symptoms, here's what I think is going on, here's my hypothesis of what the problem is, can you investigate? Or can you add some debug statements? Or can you explain to me the process that is actually happening so I can review it? And that has gotten me out of every single rut so far. I use a script to generate one prompt in a single text file. It includes the code from required and reference files. Claude is asked to generate the required ones, but not the reference ones. I use a script. Okay, hold on a second. Let me wrap my brain around that. And then try to connect it to what I've seen you do in your streams. Use a script to generate one prompt. Okay, yeah. So that's the big prompt list that I see you create, right? And then it includes the code from required and reference files. Claude is asked to generate the required ones, but not the reference ones. Okay, I think I understand what you're trying to say there. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Let me make sure here. Let me go back and test some stuff out. So now my weapons are getting between 10 and 11 points. So 2, 4, 7, 8, 11. Okay. And I have a 10 here. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, things seem to be making sense. I like the stats that are being generated. I'm going to turn off being able to add to secondary and only primary. So now we have speed, crit chance, strength, and luck. No. Constitution, strength, and lightness, yes. Attack. See, it's still adding to my secondaries. Crit chance, luck, dexterity, speed, lightness, dexterity, luck, attack. See, attack is not a primary. It's a secondary, and I'm supposed to have the secondaries off. So I have a bug there. I have a bug. Fix it. Can be upgraded to expected behavior, observed behavior. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like if you need a simple template, yes, I completely agree. That is definitely a step in the right direction. Because I mean, behavior is the symptoms, and that's one of the first things in troubleshooting is at least, understanding your symptoms. And I definitely like it when there's a bit of a hypothesis thrown in there. I feel like I feel like the AI can make a lot of assumptions, and I think that's where I feel like those assumption moments where its assumptions are incorrect are the ones that probably get people frustrated the most. And I don't know, for me, I just feel like the large language model, it's a thing that we have created, and you have to accept it for what it actually is. And if you do, then you can really minimize the frustration. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten frustrated with the AI, not yet. Because for one thing, I still think it's absolutely amazing what's possible, and I'm trying not to take that for granted. But it's not actually reasoning. It's not actually thinking. It's not actually creative. I mean, I definitely lean towards some of these late, like the podcasts that we talked about, and then the paper from Apple. It's like, it's just not quite there yet, so don't expect that kind of thing from it. But it's still, whatever it is that it's doing that we are really leaning towards not calling reasoning or thinking, it's still amazing. I think we just need to come up with a new word. Yes, 100%. Understand what it is first. Yeah. And I think that is the big glaring mistake that I see people doing when they're criticizing, both when I see posts online and I talk to people in person. They're trying to treat it as something that it isn't actually what it is. I think the most laughable example was when someone, they knew what a hallucination was. They knew that term. They understood what that means, and they criticized using ChatGPT because they said, "I want you to." They decided to test out its hallucination by saying, "I want you to explain to me the biological mechanism of the evolution of a rooster that allows it to breathe fire." And so it came up with a scientifically sounding explanation of the evolution of a chicken so it could breathe fire. It was like, and it's just like, oh, it just makes up whatever you ask it to. I'm like, well, okay, fine. But why are you asking it silly questions like that? So then they think they can't trust it for anything. Silver lining, people will click on what it is very quickly. Yeah. Yep. I mean, and also this technology is just moving so fast. Like, it takes, people that are similar to you and I who are just using it daily in order to keep up. Oh, what happened to my audio? My audio mixer is not displaying my music. Is my music still playing? Are you still able to hear it? Wonder why my audio mixer doesn't show it on there. Anyway, it's not a big deal, but I see AI as a word kaleidoscope. I can see how that metaphor could work, especially because a kaleidoscope has structure, and these things definitely have structure to them. I would say the only part of that the metaphor that breaks down for me personally is that a kaleidoscope doesn't have like meaning attached to it, but it's a metaphor, so doesn't really matter. But yeah, and it's a probabilistic engine. That's another, I think, very accurate way to address what its characteristics are. And in order to get out of the most probable response, you have to give it guidance into the lower probability areas. And I really think that people are giving humans too much credit for our intelligence when comparing us to AI. And they're also labeling AI inappropriately, not in like a moral sense, but just in a categorical sense. Like when people say like, well, it's only able to solve these math problems because it probably saw math problems like it. and it's just mimicking those problems. I'm like, how is that not what humans do? I don't invent calculus from scratch every single time I do a calculus problem. I don't invent physics out of the ether in my head every single time I do something with engineering. I feel like I am mimicking past experiences and just changing the numbers, but I'm doing the same analysis, the concept and stuff. Now, I guess I could see where it's like there is this feeling of an understanding that I have, and I could see how there's a criticism like there's no way that the AI has any feeling of an understanding of something. Okay, fine. Maybe my feeling of an understanding is just an illusion. So, I can't hear the music. I was playing my own, so I didn't notice it was off or low. Yeah, okay. Good to know that it's off. I don't care. I'm not going to fix it, but at least the symptoms I see on the screen seem to match what you're experiencing. So I can assume in the future that the music is gone if it's not showing up on my mixer. Yeah, ideas are just memes, evolving and mutating by combining with other memes. We are meme machines just like AI. Yeah, pretty much. I pretty much agree with that. Yeah. All right, so I do have a minor bug here. Let's see. It's like it is minor, but it would be important for me to really how important is this? I think I just wanted to turn this on and off for just making sure that it debugs, but I don't think I'm going to turn it on and off in the game, so maybe it doesn't matter that this is behaving the way it is. Let's see. Do I get any primary stats when I have the primary turned off? I mean, I think speed is a primary. Let's keep going here. So I need to look into, okay, so let me do a screenshot of this, and then I'm going to ask Gemini, like, hey, isn't speed a primary? Why is speed showing up when I have primary off and secondary on? And then I'm going to do the backwards. I'm going to turn on primary and off secondary, and why is attack showing up? And after that, so far I haven't noticed any other bugs. And it's okay if there still are some minor bugs, but after that I want to try and integrate it into the game, because the sandbox is just generating these items. Okay, so let's type this out here. When I turn off the secondary stat generation, I still see attack on the weapons. When I turn off the primary stat generation, I still see the speed stat being added. Can we double check that I understand the difference between primary and secondary stats, and that the code is aligned with that list? All right. Let's see what happens. And then it's the big update, integrating it and seeing if the stores have a bunch of nice randomly generated items in them of different tiers and different quality classes. So a little bit more on the how this works. So if I press the up arrow, I can go from crude, and if I do like a tier 1 crude quality, like my prices are like 54 gold, 134 gold, 79 gold, and they don't have very many stats. as I go up in quality, I'm allowed to have more points in the pool for adding to the stats. So now I can have up to 7 points when I have exquisite quality, and if I go back down to crude, I can only have 5 points. So it doesn't grow fast, and I might change that. I think when I go up in quality, I also want the average weight to get a little bit lower. Then the other thing is my tiers. So now I can have more points. So now at tier 2, I can have 13 and 14 points. Tier 3, 19, 20 points is what I see on average. Tier 4 is 25 and 26, and Tier 5 is 33 and 34 points that are spread amongst all the stats. And the prices go up in like 3,000 gold, 3,400, 4,222. So I like having that big range of price difference. And I think that it would be fun in the game that I will make the higher quality and the higher tier weapons more rarely generated, but I'm not going to prevent them from being generated, even in the first town. So you'll see a weapon that's 3,000 gold, and you're sitting here with 7 in your hand as just kind of a tease of just kind of like this what if. And I think if I can get this game to run efficiently enough, I want all towns to always exist, and I want all the weapons that will be generated in that world to be generated at the beginning, and those are the weapons that will exist for you. Now you can, I think I will later on, as I increase the scope of the game, make it where you can like commission a blacksmith to make a weapon of a certain tier and quality for you. But for the most part, I want the weapons that get generated to be the ones that will exist. So if there's a really good weapon that you wish you could have back in Town 1, but you can't afford it, but later on in the game you're like, man, I haven't found anything better. But I remember back in Town 1, there was this weapon that'll really help me out. You're going to have to journey back and go get it, because that's where it exists. And I think that will add an interesting element to the game. We will see, because it will see in the end, how big do I end up making the world? Is that like a 5-hour trip? Do I allow fast travel? Things like that. So maybe the world will be small enough that it'll just be like a 20, 30-minute journey back through the world. Maybe think the creatures will be easier in that area, and so you can just like plow through them and just make your way back. But you do have to take the trip, and then you can go buy that weapon and then come back or something. Don't know yet. Maybe I could make it where you could commission a courier to go pick up your weapon in another town. We'll see how elaborate I make this. But I there was a game, I can't remember if it was like a Baldur's Gate or if it was Diablo or something more obscure, long time ago. I mean, we're talking over 20 years ago. I played a game that had procedurally generated weapons of this kind, where these like expensive weapons were just available and you just couldn't buy them. And I thought that was fun. So I want to make that again. I want a game like that to exist, and that's the one I wish I could play again. And so I'm gonna make it myself. All right, what do we got? Of course, it looks like there is a small logic issue in how the item generator applies its priority stats, combined with a potential misunderstanding of which stats are primary versus secondary. Okay, how are you? The bug. The generator was applied hard-coded priority stats for each weapon type, like attack for a sword, before checking which stat category. All right, AI. Yeah, so here's the primaries, right? Strength, dexterity, constitution, and luck. Okay, so speed is a secondary. Okay, it's associated with dexterity. Okay, so when you turn primary stats off, seeing speed, a secondary stat, is the correct and expected behavior. So, okay, that's why I asked it, to make sure that I was thinking about this right. I'll make it myself is coded. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? This new tool exists, and I want to play that game, so why not? Yeah, that is how it feels for me, though. There are certain characteristics about this game that are not necessarily novel ideas, but I just haven't seen them in a role playing game in a while, and I miss them, so I'm gonna put them in mine. Yep. Uh, Attack accuracy. Okay, so when you turn primary stats off, seeing speed is a correct expected behavior. The bug was only when turning secondary stats off. Okay, good. So I'm glad that I specified it to check my logic first, because I was correct on one but wrong on the other. And so okay, it's the same method again. So let's go ahead and copy that in one more time. All right, good. So I am feeling pretty confident about this one. All right, so I'm going to turn off secondary. And I want to go back to Gemini's list of primary and secondary so I can double check myself. Sorry, I didn't let you guys see what I was reading there, but oh well. Yeah, goat is equals legendary. I mean, goat greatest of all time, right? So we've just turned it into to what is that? If it's goated, an adjective. Stop making me feel old by publicly explaining these terms to me. All right. Let's see. So if I turned off secondary, then I should only see strength, dexterity, constitution. Okay. There are exceptions. A great axe should always have +2 attack and -1 speed, because that's associated with its form factor. So I'm okay with that. It's just the random stuff. So I have to look. Like, I could be mistaking it having a bug with it is following the form factor rules, and I am not even fully aware of the form factor rules for certain weapon types. Where would it be? Yes, I see your crying laughing emoji there. So we're on the same page. Okay, so if I have a standard sword, oh, it's a short sword. Okay, there is an attack base. Okay, good. All right, not a problem. So there are some base stats here. And then, so we have a base weight, and then we have priorities and weapon form factors. Cool. Okay, so that is making sense that there's an attack. So there may have been less of a bug than I was expecting here, because now I'm seeing constitution, strength, luck. Wait. Okay, luck. Spear. Does a spear just get luck? No, it gets accuracy. So luck is luck's a primary. I don't even know my own game's stats. See, this is where vibe coding will bite you right here. I can't even debug and verify my stuff. The AI is doing a great job. I don't even know how my game works yet. All right. So dexterity. Okay, good. So then let me turn secondary on and primary off. Okay, yep. Speed, accuracy, crit damage. Yep. Crit chance, crit damage, attack, crit chance, lightness. Okay, I think I got it. I think everything is fixed. Let me just go up to tier 5 where there's a much bigger list of things that can get added. Yep. Okay, let me turn secondary back. Oh, secondary off and primary. Let me turn them both back on. Okay, speed, luck, attack, lightness, dexterity. Yeah, good. Complicated. Boy, when we get to the really high weapons, this is going to get complicated fast, but hopefully you'll have enough experience having played the game that this won't be overwhelming. And I remember it kind of being that way when I would play that game that I can't remember what it was. That the bigger the weapons, the more complicated the stats got. Okay, so I want to integrate this into the main game. First, I want to see if the main game will even run with this sandbox, like attached on the side here. Okay, there it is. Let me make this a little bit better. Okay, so main game's working. Here's the town. It's been a while since I've seen it myself. Everything's looking pretty good. And then here's a store. So right now, store. Come here. Oh, I can't navigate my own. Oh, maybe there's a bug. Okay, so I can't seem to interact with the shopkeeper. So we should fix that first. But let me make sure that is the case with all stores. Let me see if I can find another one. Like, that's one here. Okay, yep. Interacting with the shopkeeper seems to be broken. Alright, let's fix that first. When I try to interact with an NPC that is a... Oh, I think, real quick. Might be all NPCs. Let's not just assume only shopkeepers. So, I have a tavern. Oh, here, this guy will come over to where I'm at. Okay, so I can interact with a regular NPC. Let's see if I can interact with just the barkeep. Okay, yep. He pushed me into the wall, but yes. Okay, and then one more time, let's find a shopkeeper. Oops, left the town. So there's a shopkeeper in here. I definitely can't interact through the countertop because I didn't add that logic in yet. Oh, okay, no. That was weird. All right. Crude shield, master. Wait a second. I think it's already integrated. It is. The sandbox is already integrated into the game. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was an easy add. It's already working. Well, all I got to do now is come up with is add a method to make money. And the game's playable. Oh, the music's back. Why did you just show up all of a sudden? All right. Wow, that went a lot more smoothly than I was predicting. Let me just make sure. Let me get out of the shop. Let me go find another shopkeeper. Make sure this works. I see one over here on the right. So I wasn't able to interact with them during the last run of the game. Hopefully it's not an intermittent bug. That'll be unfortunate. Okay, come here. Healing potions. Okay, this is an item shop, so I haven't been messing with anything in the items. And let's see. You don't always get a weapon and an armor shop in a town, but looks like there is one over here. I need to make a sign so I know which shop is which. Dagger. Yep, there it is. Masterwork spear, crude great sword, standard longsword. Oh, I could buy this. I'm gonna buy it. I need to give myself like a higher default gold so I can debug. Okay, and then I have an iron sword equipped, and then the standard longsword, and now so that's going to change my attack. Okay, my stats. Okay, let me write this down. My stats are not the stats in my inventory are not reflecting the new stats that I've set up behind the scenes. So I don't get to see all of the upgrades. So that's my next goal. Let me write that down. Actually, why am the amount of time it's gonna take me to write it down, I could just be typing it into the prompt. Let's just do it. All right. In the inventory screen, I wonder if I should display all the primary and secondary stats or just the secondary. I'm going to display just the secondary. No. Man, this is an interesting question. Do I display all the stats? For now, since I'm doing game dev, I'm going to display the primary and secondary stats. The stats for the player are an incomplete list of the primary and secondary stats we have added to the game. Please update the inventory screen with all the primary and secondary stats for display. Yeah. Okay. Should be good enough. It's just a UI issue. And I got plenty of space in the inventory screen to display all the stats. And we'll worry about the UI details later. Like right now, all fonts are Arial. Because I'm not going to think about those details at this stage of the game. So I still don't know why I have 2 iron swords. I remember that being some sort of a legacy thing where I asked it to put an item in my inventory, and then I asked it to put like items in another way in my inventory. So technically the iron sword, yeah, attack of 3, but my crit chance. Okay, cool. Can I sell? And how much do I sell for? Oh, I cannot sell the sword that I purchased. Okay. So this is not consistently showing my actual inventory. Of course, the current inventory screen only shows a small subset of the player's stats. Yep. Okay, so I don't think I need to read all that. Inventory renderer. I think I'm gonna finish this update and also fix the I bought an item and then it's not showing up in the sell screen of my inventory problem. And then I think I'm gonna call it for the day. I wasn't gonna try and do too much tonight, but I did want to just get on and show up on a stream. Why? Because as anything says, we need to be consistent. And I agree. By the way, check out As Anything's stream as well, because he does very consistent streams. And he does slightly different type of content than me, slightly different coding. So there's something to learn from either one of us. All right. Yes, consistency is key. You can get far with just small steps. In fact, today I went out and bought a new laptop because I have like a 7-year-old laptop that I can't do hardly anything on it anymore, and I want to be able to just sit in bed and code when an idea comes up. So I went and purchased a new laptop so that way I can much more conveniently do that. I won't stream from that laptop, but at least now I am much more flexible in my ability to just get an idea out of my head and into the code base. Oh, there's no shops here. There you are. let's see if I can buy something. I need to give myself more default gold. Yeah, look. Oh, okay. I can buy greaves. All right, let's buy greaves. And hey, the greaves show. Oh, can I only sell greaves at an armor shop? I'm not angry about that. That totally makes sense. And I will definitely not change that. Oh, but I don't have a weapon shop to test it. Well, that's ironic. Okay, I have to redo a run of the game. So I need a town that has both a weapons and an armor shop, and we'll see if buying an item in one shop, can I sell it in the other? Come here. Boy, I need... okay. Curus, I think that's how you spell or pronounce that. Okay, and then I have to go to sell. Okay, it's there. All right, now can I sell that in a weapon shop? Please be a weapon shop in the town. Looks like there's one over here. Hopefully it's not an item shop. Where are all the buildings? Why are my towns so sparse? Okay, good. This is a weapon shop. Sell? No? Okay. Intermittent bug. Not cool. Alright. Well, that'll just have to come with time that I will figure out what's causing that. So I'm definitely going to make my default gold like 5,000 so that way I can... maybe even 50,000 so that way I can shop as much as I want for testing purposes. I'll have to figure out where that is. Maybe it's inventory. No, it's probably a config file. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hunt it down. I'll have Gemini tell me what it is I need to do. So that isn't really a bug that I can tackle right now because it didn't happen the last 2 runs. Okay, interesting. Let's see, can I find this? Okay, we got entities, player. Yeah, I doubt this is it. Okay, it's kind of fun trying to figure out how much of how much I know about my own code with the vibe coding techniques. All right, yeah, I'm getting really hungry, and I'm only going to be able to eat if I prepare myself some food. So I think I'm going to call it here. But I'm very excited that the stores are actually populating with the items that are being generated in the generator. That's like super satisfying. And now the next task that I'm imagining is making more creatures that scale in difficulty that I can fight, that will give me gold and maybe even drop items that I can then go and sell at the stores and basically create an economy with both experience points and with being able to get loot. Then the game's playable. And then I just start adding features and broadening the scope. So this is coming along. I already have some friends laying in wait. They're willing to play test, and this might be getting close to being play testable, where it won't be boring for them. So we'll see how much longer it takes for me to get to the point where I would like to actually hand this off to some people to actually try it out. But I'm gonna call it there. And as anything, oh yeah, thanks for offering to play test. Yeah, I would very much appreciate that. So you let me know, since you're actually watching what's going on, you let me know when you think it looks fun enough to actually spend some time with. And I do actually mean that genuinely, because my confidence in how fun it might be to play is probably going to be more critical than you just being like, dude, I'd love to just try it. Just send it to me already. So so let me know if you think that it is at the point of something that you wouldn't mind play testing before I do, and then I'll start that process. But yes, thanks for offering that, and I will definitely trust your opinion, with that. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and as I always say, like this is AI for the masses. This is my devlog of my game, The Story of Someone, and yeah, it seems like you almost have a complete game loop, so maybe just a little polish and it's good to go. I think so. I just need a dungeon with some creatures that basically get harder. And the art of the creatures is probably not that big of a deal at this stage. Just as long as maybe I'll give a little bit of a physical impression that they're getting harder, like maybe just make the pixel art grow in size, or maybe I could make some new creatures for different levels of the dungeon and stuff. So yeah, I feel like it is getting pretty close. So I'm Justin. This is AI for the Masses, and this is The Story of Someone, my indie game that I am working on using vibe coding techniques. And that'll be it for today's stream, and I will see you guys in the next one. And see you later, as anything. Thanks for joining.